And welcome to episode 542, I think it is, of the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ian, and this is the only podcast that says...
The Return, Part 2.
Right.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
As good as I'm going to be.
I mean, your house went through COVID a second time.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was...
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Like, the cool thing is, I don't like I know you told me not to come. I'm going to guess you didn't want to come to my place either based upon this. But, like, you don't have to quarantine, like... the entire house doesn't have to quarantine.
Yeah, they quarantined.
Oh, okay.
The girls quarantined. Yeah.
Well, I understand the girls because they have the COVID, but I'm talking like you were still able to go to work and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like you had to, like, somebody in my house has COVID, I have to stay home for 5 days.
No. Because number one, I didn't have symptoms, and then number two, girls did a good job of isolating.
Yeah. It's that weird thing, like, I don't keep track of, like, how it affects people anymore.
Yeah.
Only because, like, I work from home.
Uh-huh.
So if for some reason I was to get COVID, I would still work. Unless I felt really, really sick.
Yeah.
Because you hear, like, I mean, you had it bad. Like, they were talking about they didn't have it that bad.
Right.
So two varying, so if I had it like they had it, I would still
work, yeah.
Yeah, just, I wouldn't even tell people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no point, like, putting in my instant messenger, like, oh, by the way, I have COVID, but I'm still working,
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah. Oh, my. Watching anything?
Let me think. I did. I watched a couple things.
Yeah.
I watched that movie with, I think it's called Survive. I don't know.
Okay.
It's with, what's her name from Game of Thrones? The redhead.
Okay, yeah, Sophia. The one who's getting divorced from the Jonas brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was all right. Watch Pet Sematary, the newest Pet Sematary. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I should start writing this shit down of what I watched.
I've gotten that complaint many times from Stork, who's like, you have a device on your phone that allows you to take notes of what you've watched. I'm like, yeah, fuck, it's mine. It's like a steel trap. I'll remember.
So yeah, I watched that. That was in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
That's really about it. I don't really watch when I travel.
Yeah.
There's not really anything. It's just cable TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like whatever's on as I'll watch it.
Right.
And usually I'm watching the Penguins game or something like that, or
right.
the end of one.
Yeah.
So not really watching too much.
So at this new gig, you're actually staying?
For right now, twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm in Altoona.
Yeah.
So I drive out the first day because I don't work. I work 11 to 11.
Yeah.
So first day I drive out.
Right.
And
that's like a 2.5 hour drive.
2 hour drive.
Yeah.
And then the next night I come home. I come home usually that night anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I do because it saves me,
Yeah.
$200-300 a week. And so then I drive out the next day, but the third day I work 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So I stay that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get up at.
Yeah, that's too hard of a turnaround.
Yeah, correct. But
you get home at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're getting back up at 5.
Yeah, because if I get home at like 1, and then if I get 7 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep, leave by 8:30.
Yeah,
I'm making it there. there, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Right.
Plus, it's a nice drive. It's not that bad. I mean, it's congested in Murraysville. It gets congested around Johnstown exits. But other than that, it's pretty clear drive.
Yeah, it is.
It's not very congested, even in rush situations.
Right.
Just like after Monroeville and Murray's, and then so it's not too bad.
No, it's not a bad drive. I made that drive one time.
Yeah.
I went to Altoona. I caught a double. I went to Altoona to catch the Curve, the minor league baseball team, and I went Saturday night. So I went to a Saturday night game, and then I turned around and went back for a Sunday afternoon game. I drove home.
I see.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. My hands broke out my gloves.
I see that, yeah.
They got me gloves at work, so that's going to end. But
Yeah.
I have to let the reaction just keep going.
Yeah.
That one got infected.
I see that. That looks nasty.
It's not as bad as...
Yeah, still. Yeah. We should cover it.
Well, I was washing dishes, so I wanted to cover it.
Look like a fucking leopard.
I do. Yeah, but then So this looked a lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it was raised, it was puffy, it was purple.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong there. So I went into an urgent care place.
Yeah.
And find out because I thought I had insurance from day one, but I don't. I have it on November 1st. So I had to pay out of pocket. It was $120 just for them to tell me you need some Bactrim.
Yeah.
And so they prescribed it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so there's that. That was fun.
Is it odd? Like, it seems to me like that would be something that places would automatically have, like, both types of gloves. Like, they wouldn't have to special order for you.
It varies from place to place. From all the places I've been, they just don't have my gloves.
Yeah.
Some places do, and then other places do not.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like that would be something that would be more regular.
With this, it's I am allergic to latex, but it's not the latex aspect of it. It's what they sterilize the glove in.
Right.
And they sterilize the glove in what's called if I wouldn't have said it, I would have remembered it.
Yeah.
Starts with a B. It's like benzenate.
Yeah.
Chloramine or something like that.
Right.
It's what they use in the sterilization process.
Right.
And I think that's the chemical that I'm allergic to.
Right.
Is that product.
Right.
Now the gloves that I wear, which are called a Gamex glove, made by the same people, but they don't. It's super hyperallergenic, so they don't sterilize the same way.
Right.
And so that's not sterilized in that.
That goop.
Yeah, that goop. So, but for now, that's all I can wear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've been wearing for 5-6 years now, and I don't get any. But this is after about a week and a half of wearing the gloves, and then it just went overboard one day.
Yeah.
I mean, it just went crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the constant contact with the allergen.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing with the gowns as well. And the gowns here is not bad.
Right.
But it's the cuffs.
Yeah.
And you can see on my
Like
wrist
where
my cuff comes up.
Yeah. And they have like the bunch cuff. Like,
yeah, it's like a bunch cuff. It's like
Yeah.
a white bunch cuff.
Yeah.
And the glove covers it.
Right.
But what I have to do, I'm getting technical on how I scrub, but I have to put my green gloves on first.
Right.
Then I have to put my gown on. And then I have to put my overgloves on top of that.
Yeah.
To keep my wrists and skin
right from getting
away from the cuff.
Right.
And the gloves.
Yeah.
Well, not and the gloves. What? My top glove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, but it was ugly. I mean, it was like raised.
Yeah.
It had this purple ring around it. It was like this far up.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, that looks terrible.
Yeah.
I look like fucking Walking Dead here. So, So yeah.
And you heard them, ladies. It's a latex allergy.
It's not. I mean, I am
know.
allergic to latex, but I'm allergic to that chemical that they use to treat. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, they have this underglove too that you can wear. It's like a cotton band glove.
Yeah.
You know, or a funeral glove almost. That's what it looks like. And then you put that on, and then you can put a glove over that.
Right. Oh, that's gotta be sweaty as fuck.
Well, yeah, and it's bulky. I can't. Yeah. It's hard to feel needles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if they treated it in the same shit,
it wouldn't be as big of a problem.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna break out just from wearing that glove.
Yeah.
The underglove. It all depends on what it's treated with.
Right.
So, anyway, that's my story.
There you go. Mm-hmm. I have been watching RWBY.
RWBY.
Yes, it is it's a cartoon. It's made by the people at Rooster Teeth, who you may or may not remember did Red versus Blue back in the day.
Okay.
The only reason I discovered this, and I told the story last week, but I'll regale everybody who may not have heard it and regale it for you. I watched an animated movie called Justice League X RWBY Superheroes and Huntsman Part 1.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this RWBY is, but, you know, I'm going to watch anything with the Justice League.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out it would have helped if I had a clue about RWBY. But they explained it, like, you're figuring things out about the world of RWBY, because that's where they're at.
Uh-huh.
It's like the Justice League somehow got sent to the world of RWBY, and like it's like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. So what was cool about the I was learning things at the same time the Justice League was.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, so this is how this world works. I see.
Okay.
That makes sense. This makes sense. Okay, thank you for explaining that. You know, stuff like that. But at the same time, I was like, boy, I still wish I had a point of reference for this. So I went and I looked and I found out that, you know, it was this cartoon done by Rooster Teeth. It started in 2015. It's run for 9 seasons. And it was on Crunchyroll. So I subscribed to Crunchyroll. New subscription service. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take my money, please. And I was really expecting it, like, because it has an anime feel to it. It's inspired by anime. And I was expecting it to be a typical American takeoff on anime, playing off the tropes. You know, it's four young girls. They're all teenagers in this school for combat, and you know they're the ones who have to save the world, and all, you know, like shit like that. Like I'm expecting this to be very superficial, and it is not.
Yeah.
Like it has a very, very deep story that, as the season goes on, you look back to like season 1 and season 2, and you're like, oh fuck, I was kind of talked about here, and now it's coming to fruition. Like it's a very, and it goes down into like how like fairy tales and how real they really are in this world. Like, you know, like you break it off. It's like, well, that's just a fairy tale. That's a myth. You know, this isn't real. Well, it turns out it actually is, and this is why. And the gods and what their role is and all of this. Like, it's like really, really interesting.
Really?
Yeah. Like it gets. It would have been really easy to like just be that superficial. We're kind of just gonna play off of this anime trope. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't. Like it starts like very quickly. Like you realize like there's more to this than just, you know, what it is. And I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm up to season 6, I think, and I've thoroughly enjoyed every single episode.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's been really, really well done. The animation, because it's done on a shoestring budget. Initially, like there are moments like where you're like that, like they don't even bother to like create background characters. They're just shadows.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you watch some of it, and the animation's a little clunky because it's just done on the cheap.
Yeah.
But you get past that because of how good the story is.
Okay.
And how good the voice work is, and the stuff that everything else is like. Now, as it's gone on, the animation has gotten better. The the backgrounds have gotten better and more in depth. Like everything's got. It's almost like as you can see, like as the show succeeded, more money was coming into it. And as more money was coming into it, things improved with it.
Okay.
But the story remains phenomenal throughout. Like the story doesn't change based upon, well, we have more money, let's tell a bigger story. It does, but at the same time, it's still like the animation just improves and looks better as the seasons have gone on.
Yeah.
So if you're watching season 1 and you're like, oh, this is ass.
Right.
Fuck this. Stick with it because the story's that good. You just have to ignore that.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
I did start watching Doom Patrol again, new episodes.
I did see that had come back. Yeah, I got
that dropped.
Yeah.
So. It was good.
I've been watching Loki.
I didn't know Loki was on.
Yeah.
How is it?
It's very good.
Really?
Yes. Like, really, really good.
Really?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, season 1 set a high bar.
Right, that's what I mean.
And season 2 is living up to that high bar so far.
Okay. How many episodes in?
I think it's 4 or 5.
Oh, really? That's not
Yeah.
bad. I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah.
Huh. Check that out.
Yeah, like, it's been... I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and, like...
Yeah.
I've just been impressed, like, with how... Like, it picks up right where it left off, and it just kind of keeps moving.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Get it. Yeah, I like Loki.
And Hiddleston's fantastic. I mean, and I'm really appreciating Owen Wilson.
Yeah, he's really good in this series.
He is. And he's even better. The only reason I say he's better in season 2 is because of what he knows now.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Like, his character becomes very interesting from that standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to ruin anything or explore anything, but
Any
like
cameos? Yeah.
No real cameos, no.
Okay. Because Loki really dives deep into this world.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
but like it's dealing strictly with the TVA.
okay, yeah, okay.
Like it's not going really outside into like, but
The Watchers and something.
but the ramifications of what's taking place are massive to the multiverse, which is what
They could try to control.
but also what Loki kickstarted.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like that was something that Loki did.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
so
course.
yeah, of course, yeah. So I mean, it's really interesting. I've thoroughly enjoyed each episode, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what else is going on?
Trying to think. Not much. No, like, I mean, you know, like I caught up. I did catch up on This Is Wrexham.
Mm.
And that's been interesting, but it's that odd thing of like the first season I didn't know how it was going to end.
Yeah.
And I mean, and for those that are like, this is based upon, it's a documentary about the soccer, aka football team that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney own.
Yeah.
In Wrexham, Wales.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know they're playing in the national division, which is like below single A ball in baseball. Like,
yeah.
You know, this is like almost amateur.
Yeah.
Like it's a step above amateur, basically.
Yeah.
And they are, you know, they bought the team and they're trying to get promoted up into league play.
Yeah.
Which I guess is the first league or the first division. I don't know what it's called. European soccer numbs my skull. It does. Because and this is the thing I've learned from watching this and from watching like Ted Lasso. Shit takes place in the middle of a soccer season. It has nothing to do with your league.
Yeah.
They have this FA Cup every year, which is this massive thing where anybody can enter. So Wrexham gets to enter and they get to play against Champion Leagues team and Premier League teams and shit like that. And it's just why the fuck would you do that? Honestly, it would be in the middle of the football season, American football season, you just stop playing league games and you had well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna play Alabama in an exhibition, and shit like that. It would make no sense.
Well, I mean, we have All-Star game and we have NBA and
right, but an All-Star game is a weekend.
Yeah.
The NBA All-Star game and the NHL All-Star game is a weekend.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. Even and I never I agree with it, I disagree with it. In the middle of the NHL season, they used to, for a while there, it was the NHL players would go play in the Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
And I hated that. That's probably the best comparison, is when the NHLers would go and they would play in the Olympics. It was great hockey to watch, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, man, Sidney Crosby gets hurt trying to, play for Team Canada, and he can't finish his season with the Penguins. I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. These games mean absolutely nothing, but yet they're playing their hearts out to win them. This FA Cup is this huge deal, and I'm just I don't get it because it's just not fucking worth it.
Right.
But so there's stuff like that. But the first season, I didn't know how it was going to end. I didn't know if that team got promoted or not.
Okay.
And they didn't. At the end of season 1, they come oh so close, but they miss it.
Okay.
And so this season is about their next season, and they're trying they're desperate. It's the amount of money they've sunk into this team needs to pay off with promotion.
Okay.
They're paying their players as if they were next division players.
Right.
So they're losing money.
Yeah, I get it.
Because they don't have a TV deal like the next division up does. They don't have, only, it's a much different situation for them. So I know how this season ends, though. Because the popularity of the documentary series was so much that you just couldn't help but see it on Facebook and social media. It was all over the place to how their season ended.
Yeah.
And so I know how that happens, but what's still interesting is the struggle that you had to get to that point.
Right.
That's what's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So even though it's almost like when I watched the quarterback documentary on Netflix earlier this year.
Yeah.
I know how that ends. I watched the season.
Yeah.
But it was still interesting to see these 3 different quarterbacks go through what they go through, what their preparations what their bodies go through, what how do you manage your time, all that stuff was very interesting to me as far as those 3 different quarterbacks. And so even I know at the end of it Patrick Mahomes is going to win the Super Bowl. It was still interesting to see the process of getting there.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So I've really enjoyed that. And I know the new season of Shoresy dropped, and I gotta watch that because I love that.
What do you think about the game?
Steelers Rams?
Yeah.
I don't know how they win games. It baffles my mind. It really it's that thing of how do you stink for 3 quarters? And then somehow you've kept it close enough that you can rally and win in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like, you know, it's shown, like, a little bit. Like, you can't do that against a good team. Like, against San Francisco, you can't do that.
Right.
Like, how I still don't know how they lost to Houston. And how badly they lost to Houston. Like, that loss befuddles me. But
how's Houston doing, by the way?
I think they're like 3-4 or
Really?
2-5.
I was pretty impressed by their quarterback.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud is. I mean, he looks poised. He looks like he's maybe a second-year quarterback out there. But I mean, like they shouldn't. Like it's just it was one of those things where it's like nobody showed up that day, offensively or defensively.
Yeah,
like it was like, wow, this is bad.
Well, I mean, the Rams game. I don't know. It's just frustrating to watch. It's like they came on, and I was like, now this is Steeler football.
Yeah.
This is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, what happened that in the first 3 quarters?
Like, and that's what's amazing. Is like, you would think from an offensive standpoint, you would be at your best in the first quarter.
Yeah. Because,
like, you have those first 15 scripted plays, you know, and that's, like, I know we all love the bag on Matt Canada. Like, he is fucking awful. He's the worst. And he is. He's bad. But that's Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett sitting down going, okay, what do we want to run in this situation? What do we want to do in this situation? Like, they work together.
Yeah.
Like, don't, you know, and so, like, that's the frustrating part is, like, you know, it's not all Matt Canada. I'm putting a lot of blame on Kenny Pickett, as much as, you know, Thad wants to say he's the worst quarterback in the division, which he clearly isn't.
Yeah.
He's still, like, if you're involved in that process, like, you've got to be thinking better.
Yeah.
And then more importantly, you got to take ownership of that. You know what I mean? Like, because those should be like your A plays. Like that. Those should be the plays where you're just like, man, I feel really good about this. I feel like, you know, I can get it to Deontay on this hook. You know, these plays, you get a little mini rollout, and I can throw it on the run to, those should be plays where you're like, your confidence at your highest.
Yeah.
And then, like, getting into the fourth quarter, like, the only thing that's keeping your confidence high is just, like, your ability to, like, you know, I know I can do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like they don't, as an offense as a whole, not just Kenny, but, like, the whole offense, Canada included, like, they don't know, like, until, like, the fourth quarter, like, oh, okay, this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
It's like it takes them 3 quarters. Like, they're a bad boxer who, like, has to take, like it's like, when you watch a boxing match, it's always like, you know, man, that first round, those guys were feeling themselves out. And then, like, the second round, they kind of got a feel for it, you know. It's like they spend 3 quarters throwing light jabs.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, I'm just trying to feel you out for 3 quarters. And in the fourth quarter, oh, I've got it figured out. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, it can't work that way. Like, at some point, you have to start scoring in the first and second quarter.
Yeah. Especially if you're a team not built to come back from
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I mean, in all honesty, like, with the way the offense is constructed, they're not.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the funny thing is, it's like, they have to keep that game tight. For 3 quarters, that defense has to work their ass off.
I know.
To keep you in a game so that come the fourth quarter, you can figure it out.
I know. That's crazy.
It is. It's a hard thing to ask a defense. I don't care how good it is.
Yeah. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Defense wasn't that bad. Did you think?
I thought there were... I know I'm going to get some shit for this. Especially from Thad. But Joey Porter Jr. looked a little lacking to me.
He did.
There were a number of times he missed tackles. In fact, one time he just got flat out trucked by Puka Nacua. And, like, he put, like, everyone's like, oh, he looks so good, and he shut down Puka Nacua. No, he didn't shut down Puka Nacua. Yeah. He didn't. I'm sorry. Like, you can try to tell me I was Patrick Peterson all you want. No. Puka Nacua had, 8 catches for 165 yards.
Yeah.
Like, no, that wasn't all on Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, I would have put Joey Porter Jr. on Puka Nacua because I want Patrick Peterson, the veteran, on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would not. Like, I would much rather have rookie on rookie violence.
Yeah.
Than like putting.
He looks good though.
Who, Puka Nacua? Oh yeah. He's the real deal.
Strong, man.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Troy Polamalu, but on offense.
Yeah.
No, he does.
I mean, he seeks, like, he doesn't shy, like, he does not shy away from hit. Ask Joey Porter Jr. He got trucked.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy who, like, the whole problem, I think that people were asking, like, oh man, once Cooper Kupp comes back, how are they going to have enough passes to get to Puka Nacua? And I'm like, yeah, they will. Trust me. And they do. I mean, he had 8 catches for 165 yards. He looked phenomenal. He had that one catch. I don't know how the fuck he got that foot done.
Dude. That's what amazed me about this guy catching the ball and sideline stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that foot is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think overall the defense played well. Mm. But there were just times, and I mean, and part of this I'm going to blame on the offense. There were just times where
they looked done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're just tired.
But, I mean, they held their ground. They held them to at one point, like, 2 long field goals that got missed.
Uh-huh.
So that's huge. And I will freely admit, folks, like, I'm not one of these guys. I will tell you flat out, on that quarterback sneak, Kenny Pickett was short. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, he got in there. Like, I'm the one who will tell you, like, I just see how Seahawks have some legitimate gripes about Super Bowl 40. Not all of them, but some of them I'll give you.
Yeah.
But, like, Pickett was short. But at the same time, the rule is the rule. Like, it was outside of 2 minutes. It's not going to be reviewed. And they were out of timeouts.
Yeah.
Too bad, so sad. We're moving on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now, if you want to tell me you think that rule should be changed somehow, like, okay, explain that to me.
Yeah.
Because I am somebody who's like, I am for less review. Like, I think the game drags on long enough. Like, these people who, like, want everything fucking reviewed.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-hour game.
Yeah. Like, I feel like there were, like, the Pickett beat coming up short on that quarterback sneak is not nearly as egregious as some of the other things we saw. Like, the pass interference calls times 2 against the Colts.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
No, like those were, that was if you look at the end of that Colts game, like the untimed down, like the pass interference leads to the untimed down for the Browns, and then the pass interference on the untimed down, they gave him a second untimed down.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't know if I talked to you about it, but the maybe I did. It was Mahomes, and I can't remember who they were playing. I don't.
This is the Vikings.
The hold.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
No, but
I have never seen a hold like that in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so much so that Like, I watch a lot of football. You know that.
Right.
I used to watch a lot of boxing.
Right.
I mean, I was a serious boxing fan.
Right.
Used to be. Mm-hmm. I watch boxing all the time.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I don't like featherweight fights and shit like that, but I like middleweights and heavies.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite fights to watch.
Right.
And I stopped watching boxing because I watched a couple matches that were so outrageous.
Right.
Fixed.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm done. I mean, the sport's so crooked, I can't watch it anymore.
Right.
That hold on that game brought about those same feelings I did when I was watching boxing.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe how and you know, linebackers get held all the time. I mean, let's just face it. Watt gets held all the time.
Yeah.
Harrison got held all the time.
Right.
You can go through the list of our linebackers.
Right.
They always got held. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to have the ref right here and the holds right here,
Yeah.
and he's watching it,
Yeah.
lift the fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Mahomes, what it was, like 27 yards for the first down?
Yeah.
I was like, is it fixed? You know what I mean? Like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this fixed? Is this...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's crazy. So yeah, that was one penalty. There was a couple penalties during the last game too, where I was like, But I was so upset about that penalty. I talked about it for days.
Yeah.
I've just never. Now, if the ref wasn't even in the picture, I'd be like, okay, I get it.
Right.
But with him being like 3 yards away, 5 yards away,
right,
watching the play happen, how do you not throw on that?
Right. No, I agree.
And that it just makes me think. I mean, like, how do you not call that play? Because that pretty much wins them the game.
Well, I mean, there's that. I mean,
holy fuck!
Absolutely, like the most blatant.
The guy was like this.
Right. I mean,
he was like,
yeah.
Look at him! I can't even get away from him.
Right. I mean, but there was like the most blatant, like, pass interference call in that NFC Championship game. Was it the Rams and the Saints?
Okay.
And I mean, it was a Saints player, and he's wide open, and he's waiting for the ball to come to him. He's almost like just standing there waiting for the ball, and the Rams guy just came and clocked him before the ball was like. They said that was. They ruled the ball was uncatchable, and that's why they weren't calling pass interference. But the ball was here, like right above his head, but it was like 5 yards away from him when he got drilled.
Okay.
Like, it was a clearly catchable ball.
Yeah.
Like, and he should have been able to catch it, but like the guy from the Rams just came and just destroyed him. And no flag. Rams win.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it was like the most blatant, like, fuck over I have ever seen.
Right.
You know, and...
Well, that's what they say, you know, I'm not putting any... Because I don't know exactly what happened.
Right.
But, I mean, one of the theories of the Immaculate Reception...
Oh, yeah, was...
that he didn't catch it. And, he didn't get it before it hit the ground. And they were in such fear of the Pittsburgh fan base.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to riot.
Not Jack Tatum. I can't remember who it is. But he said he heard the official went into the dugout. Because at Old Three River Stadium, the dugouts were still open. Mm-hmm. Like, you could go into the dugout. He got in the dugout phone, and he made a phone call. And he heard him say, "How much security can you give us to get out of here?" Yeah. Okay, touchdown. Like, that was like, you know. Now, I mean, there's also the whole thing about did Frenchie Fuqua touch that ball first? Yeah. You know, because if Frenchie Fuqua touched that ball first...
You've watched the video 1,000 times, I'm sure.
I have.
And what do you say?
I don't know. Like, I've seen physicists talk about, like, because I heard, like, the one guy, I can't remember any of these old guys' names, but, like, the one guy from the Raiders, he was like,
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he was like, there's no way the ball could have ricocheted the way that it did if Frenchie didn't touch that first.
Yeah.
Because of the direction the ball went. Where if it was a Raider player, and I think it was Lester Hayes, if it was Lester Hayes that hit that ball first, it would have ricocheted back because he was coming straight at the ball.
Yeah.
Frenchie Fuqua was coming out from the side. And so if it hits Frenchie first, it's going to ricochet to the side. Like, and I've seen, like, physicists try to explain it. Like, I have no idea who touched that fucking ball first. I don't. Like,
it's so weird. I mean, like, even the footage, you just can't tell.
Like, there's no... Even, like, the NBC footage, there's no good view of that play.
Yeah.
Like, from, like, the actual game, like, the NFL film stuff, you don't... Like, you see Franco scooping the ball, but, like, was he scooping it off the ground?
And he took that to his grave, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insanity.
Yeah, it's very odd. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those moments in time that you just cannot prove. And the only person that knew was Franco.
Yeah. And Frenchie Fuqua.
Yeah.
Franco knows if the ball touched the ground or not. Frenchie Fuqua knows whether he touched that ball first or not. And Frenchie Fuqua, to this day, hasn't said shit.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I'll never tell.
Those are some tough motherfuckers. Roided out or not, they were
like
tough.
And here's an interesting statistic. I said this one time and somebody was like, "Man, that's kind of deep." I was born November 23rd, 1972.
Okay.
The Immaculate Reception takes place December 23rd, 1972.
Okay.
1 month after I was born, the Immaculate Reception takes place.
Uh-huh.
Launching the dynasty.
Yeah.
Like 2 years later, they finally get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, because 72, I mean, that's they played the Dolphins. That was the undefeated Dolphins.
Yeah.
And, they got crushed by the Dolphins. The next year, I think they went to the AFC Championship game again and ran to the Dolphins. And that was like, the Dolphins weren't undefeated, but they were still they go to Super Bowl 8 and win Super Bowl 8. And then Super Bowl 9 is the start of the dynasty. Like, in my lifetime, my lifetime kicks off the dynasty in an odd way.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
It is. The things my eyes have seen will be lost in time, like tears in the rain.
It's just amazing.
It is. I mean, there's the infamous game. I think it was the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh against the Raiders. And it sleeted the night before the game, and it forgot to cover the field.
Okay.
Or it didn't cover the whole field. So the outside the hash marks was covered in ice.
Okay.
But the inside the hash marks was fine.
Uh-huh.
And Al Davis was pissed because, and like Pete Rozell's like, well, Al, it's the field conditions are the same for both teams. Like, Pete, you don't understand. Our game is outside the hash marks.
Right.
We're throwing the ball deep. We're running the sweeps. The Pittsburgh game is between the tackles. This favors them. They have favorable field because they forgot conveniently to cover the full field.
How tough was that defense?
The Steelers 70 defense? I mean, it's an odd thing, like, because people will point, like, to the 85 Bears, and they'll point to the 2000 Ravens. Like, those are the greatest defenses of all time. But neither of those defenses held up.
Right.
Like, what makes the Steelers' defense so great, and to me, like, the greatest of all time, is they were great for 8 years, 9 years. Like, they went to 4 Super Bowls. Rules were changed because of players on that defense. You know, the Mel Blount rule exists because of Mel Blount. You know?
Yeah.
And it was like that. It's just that thing of like, yes, maybe you were the greatest one-season wonder. Like, you had that one great season where nobody could touch you. But you couldn't keep that up. You know what I mean? Like, it just, to me, the greatness has to extend beyond one season.
Yeah.
Like, statistically, you're right. Greatest defense of all time. But, really?
Yeah,
like,
does it hold up?
You know, like...
Do you think that the Steelers' defense, after all these years, is one of the best defensive units in the NFL? We've had some bad defenses, but for the most part.
I think...
I mean, that defense with Paul Malo in here, I mean, I think that...
Even when that defense was bad...
That was one of the best defenses I've ever seen in my life.
Even when that defense was bad, it was good.
Yeah.
Like, there were... Like, you look back at the 80s, and you look at guys like Hardy Nickerson, and you look at, like, you know, Brian Hinkle.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when Rod Woodson was drafted. Carnell Lake came in. And, like there were... Even when that defense... Like, there was always that saying of, you know, win or lose, when you play Pittsburgh, you know you played Pittsburgh. Like, that defense was going to punish you.
Right.
Even if they lost.
You're going to be hurt.
You were, yeah. Like, there were rare occasions. I mean, there was like the game in '88 that, you know, Cleveland beat us like 52-0, you know. Like, there were rare occasions where, yeah, the defense didn't have it. But I think overall, if you look at like
Time span.
The times, you know, like it was always like, even when the team was bad, the defense was good enough to keep them in most games, and like that was just a thing Pittsburgh hung its hat on.
Yeah.
Like, we'll always have a good defense.
Yeah.
No matter what, you know. I mean, now it does, like, there's that question. Like, further, there's that question of who's the best defensive player in the NFL right now. And so many people are talking about, like, Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons. And TJ Watt is obviously in that conversation. Mm. And most people are like, you know, oh, Myles Garrett is, like, and, like, I've watched enough Myles Garrett that I can tell you, you know, unless he's playing a team in black and gold, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. But can you ever point out a single game that Myles Garrett had where he stood out against the Steelers where he didn't hit a quarterback in the head with a helmet?
Right.
No, you can't. Like, Myles Garrett has never had a big game against the Steelers.
Right.
It's just, like, and to me, like, especially in the AFC North, like, if you want to claim the throne, like, that's what you have to do. You have to have standout games against the Steelers. Yeah. Because no matter what you think of the Steelers, like, they are, in many ways, the kings of the North. Yeah. Like, even when they're not, they are. Yeah. Like, if the Steelers were, like, 2-5 right now, like, if they, you know, like, the Browns would be celebrating like they won the fucking Super Bowl when if they beat the Steelers. Right. You know what I mean? Like, the Ravens, like, it's still Steeler week. Like, it's going to be a nasty game. The Bengals, like, when they beat the Steelers, it's a big deal. Like, it's where, like, with us, it's like, yeah, we beat the Browns again. Yeah, yeah. And we beat the Bengals again. You know, yeah, bring on the Ravens. We're ready for the Ravens. You know, it's shit like that. Like,
vibe's different.
The vibe is much different. Where, like, with those, like, especially the Ohio teams, it's like a reason to celebrate. All right. You know. So, like, with so until Myles Garrett has that game against the Steelers, like, you can show me all the film you want of him, and you're right, he's a fantastic defensive player until he meets a team in black and gold. Right.
It's funny. I was watching. I watched this like history of. You've seen it, I'm sure, but history of Renegade in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
it was.
I like how Joey Porter was like, "Yeah, we didn't even know what the song."
Yeah, I thought it was called "Oh Mama."
Yeah.
But here's the question: and people have posed this, and I have my answer, and people might disagree with it. But at the end of the day, with or without a ring, is not Joey Porter, is T.J. Watt the greatest Steeler of all time?
No.
No, I agree. Like
Troy Polamalu was probably one of the greatest Steelers of all time. In his prime,
right. Here's my answer to the
no one
question.
can even touch him.
Here's my answer to that question.
No one.
And it's Joe Green and it's Franco Harris.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason I say that is because those two players are responsible for the renaissance of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Like, Joe Green's drafted in 1969, and he's the cornerstone of that build. Like, he was the first draft pick of Chuck Noll.
Yeah.
You know, and while they went 1-12 again that year, like, you don't get the 72 without Joe Green.
I get that.
And Franco, because those first two Super Bowls are one of the backs of Franco and Rocky.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, like, I mean, if you look back at the Super Bowl IX season, like, Terry Gillum took just as many snaps as Terry Bradshaw did.
Yeah.
Like, Bradshaw was going to be considered a bust at one point. Like, they were like, we might have to go with Gillum because he's clearly got the better arm and he had a better grasp of the offense. And, like, it was because of injury that Bradshaw ended up becoming the quarterback.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he was the number one overall draft pick in 70.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, he was being thought of as a bust. Like, and you look at, like, Super Bowl IX, like, that was all the running game. That was running game and defense.
Uh-huh.
Like, Bradshaw I think he threw, like, 16 passes.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like a...
When was Swan drafted?
Swan was drafted in 74.
Okay. He was amazing.
Because that's the draft. It's like the draft. Because that's Swan, that's Stallworth, that's Lambert.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like 8 Hall of Famers the Steelers have out of that draft. I think Mel Blount was in that draft. I mean, like, if you look at that draft, like, the number of, like, premier players that came out of that particular draft, like, that's the draft that, like, people look at and go, like, this is unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
And that was back when the draft was, like, 16 rounds.
Yeah.
And, like, they drafted, like half of it is, like, Hall of Famers.
That's crazy, right?
It is. It's insanity. But that's just how good that draft was. I think that's 73.
Who else was in that draft?
Let me take a look. I mean, it's...
When I said Troy Polamalu, I thought you were talking about defensive.
No,
I've
I've not
ever seen.
No. Well, I mean, he's probably the best I've ever seen. Like, I saw Lambert at the end of his career. I saw Ham at the end of his career. I saw Joe Green at the end of his career, like, where I was, like, really paying attention.
I mean, but I get that. I mean, T.J. Watt hasn't proven himself yet. What I'm saying is, I know. And people that hear this, the whole two that listen,
yeah,
are going to be like, oh, but T.J. Watt hasn't been around long enough yet to prove himself as one of the best defensive players that Pittsburgh's ever been.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Troy Polamalu was. You talk about a guy that can change the game.
Yeah.
You talk about a guy that goes on the field and offenses worry because they need to know where he's at.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying is, like, when Polamalu was on the field, their whole game plan offensively was where Troy is not.
Yeah.
On passing situations, especially. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Name a Steeler that an offensive and an opponent's game plan is based around Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like,
No,
that guy was a freak.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And I don't think that they'll ever gain a guy with sideline-to-sideline speed again.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think they exist. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that player exists sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
Like him. Do you? I mean, honestly.
No, I don't.
I mean, the real estate that guy can cover was amazing.
Yeah.
And you talk about brutal hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You talk about, like, a defense that, like, prided themselves on you're going to feel it. Troy could hit. He wasn't some, and I know I'm going to get shit for this too, he was not a Deion Sanders pushing them out of bounds.
Right. No,
Troy crushed them.
Right.
You know? It's just amazing that such a gentle person like Troy, you know,
Yeah.
off the field, can come on the field, and he was just a fucking animal. And I've never seen anybody, I don't think, to this day, leap over an entire line to block a kick or to sack a quarterback.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, not that I can recall. No.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Troy was one of the, I will stand by that. I think Troy was one of the best Steelers of all time. Of all time.
No, I can't disagree with that. Okay, so the 74 draft.
All right.
That was Lynn Swann, Jack Lambert, John Stallworth, Mike Webster. The 70 draft is considered their second best because that had Bradshaw and Mel Blount.
Okay.
Blount was a third-round draft pick, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's because he went to an HBAC.
Yeah.
And at the time, the Steelers were the only team scouting HBACs.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Some interesting ones.
And I got all those rookies except for Bradshaw.
Yeah. Like 1971, that's when they drafted Ham, Mullins, Wagner, Holmes, Brown, White.
What year?
71.
Okay.
$1998. While it won't have as many Hall of Famers. Alan Faneca, Hines Ward, Deshae Townsend.
Wow. Man, Hines Ward was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty impressive one.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what made a big difference against the Rams too was not to go way back, but it was Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. Here's one. The class of 1987.
Okay.
Rod Woodson, Hardy Nickerson, Greg Lloyd, Merrill Hodge.
Wow.
Like
that's a good draft.
like those are guys who are not going like Woodson's in the Hall of Fame, but Hardy Nickerson, Greg Lloyd, Merrill Hodge, they're not getting to the Hall of Fame, but they are Steelers legends.
Lloyd's not?
No. He didn't play long enough, I don't think. And I mean, because he ended up, after he left the Steelers, he ended up having health issues.
No. Harrison's going to be at the game.
Yeah, I saw that. He get inducted into
He was a beast.
the Steelers Hall of Fame.
He was a beast.
He was. Like,
For his time in the Steelers organization, he was a beast.
yeah. Like, and he's like so weird because it's like, he spent so much time like bouncing around.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Steelers ended up clinging to him finally.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, he bounced around from practice squad to practice squad for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know.
You believe that guy was on the practice squad?
Yeah.
I mean, his work ethic and like lifting ethic is disgusting.
Yeah. But I mean, that's also like, I mean, you sit there and you say, wow, it's hard to believe that. But that also shows, like, I think one, at that time the Steelers had such depth at linebacker.
Right.
You know, because I mean, Harrison doesn't really come in until Porter's gone. Like, he was a special teams player under Cowher. He was there for Super Bowl 40.
Right.
He was just a special teams guy.
Dude, that run back.
Oh, yeah.
One of the greatest run backs of all time.
I mean, that's probably,
or maybe the run back of all time.
I mean, to me, it's the greatest play in Super Bowl history. And I don't mean that like, one lost such a homer. The Steelers have the greatest play in Super Bowl. I mean, I think if you look, I mean, it's the same thing as saying, like, because if you look at that play, the two things it does is it flips the score 14 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That takes 7 points away from the Rams and it puts 7 points on the Steelers' ledger. Like, that's a 14-point swing.
Yeah.
The read that he makes to decide to drop in the coverage instead of blitzing like he was supposed to. Phenomenal. And then the run, the play that he makes running down the field. Like, he's still breathing heavy from that.
That's crazy.
Like, it's a ridiculous, like, the amount of tackles he breaks and the people he goes over, and, like, he was never in the clear.
The whole way.
The whole way, he was, like, pushing people off of him.
Isn't that nuts?
It is.
It's not like he had a clear path to the end.
No.
I agree. It's, you see these 99-yard returns and, interception returns and 100-yard returns or 80. You know what I'm saying.
But at some point, like around the 30 or the 40, like those guys are in the clear the rest of the way.
Right, exactly. They're just burning rubber.
Right. And Greg
And
Lloyd,
usually that's a safety or, you know what I mean? Like
not Greg Lloyd. James Harrison never had, fucking Larry Fitzgerald's running down the sideline. He's out of bounds trying to get there, like, as if his life depended on it.
Yeah.
And it was to me, like, it's like saying, the Pirates to win the 60 World Series. That's not the greatest World Series of all. Not the greatest home run of all time.
Yeah.
Like, if you're taking like the shot heard around the world, or if you're taking the one that Toronto had in the Game 6, I'm sorry, they don't measure up because this was Game 7. This is Game 7 of the World Series, bottom of the ninth.
Right.
Like, it doesn't get any more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the greatest home run ever.
Right.
The only way you could top it is if you had 2 outs.
Right. Yeah.
2 outs, bottom of the ninth, and there's a home run to win the World Series.
Right.
In Game 7.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only way you top that home run, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's Maz's home run is like the great to me, and I mean that's not being a homer. That's just like looking at it from like the perspective of like, well, what did it mean?
Right.
Yeah, Robbie Thompson's home run to send the Giants to the World Series is phenomenal, but it was in a one-game playoff. You weren't even in the World Series yet.
Right.
And Guerrero's in, what was it, I think 94 against the Braves. That was Game 6. It wasn't Game 7. Like, yes, it's a walk-off home run to win the World Series, but it was Game 6.
Right.
The 60 World Series is the greatest home run ever. And yet, when you take into account the fact that the Pirates had been like outscored like 30-10.
Right.
Like the 3 games they lost, they got crushed. And the 3 games they won, they squeaked by.
Right.
And plus it's the Yankees. It's the 60 Yankees.
Yeah.
Like, they asked Mickey Mantle one time, what's your biggest regret in life? He's like, we lost the 60 World Series. Like, how did we lose that World Series?
Right.
Like, Mickey Mantle's one of the greatest of all time. That's his biggest regret. He lost that series.
Right. That Harrison run was crazy.
It is. It's ridiculous.
I can just remember seeing his fucking thighs.
Yeah.
Like Harrison was a huge man. Not the Tomlin defense linebacker that you see now.
No.
He was a huge fucking man.
Like, it's amazing how, like, the defense has evolved.
Yeah.
Over the course of time under Tomlin. But, yeah, like, I mean, James Harrison was just
a specimen.
And, like, he got into, like, that motorcycle stance and, like, good Lord, how do you stop that?
Yeah.
Like,
just a fucking beast.
How do you man up to face that?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to.
Like an offensive lineman. I was like,
yeah,
oh, fuck. I need to take on Harrison all game.
Yeah. Fuck me. I got the flu.
Thing with Watt, though, I'm not taking anything away. I think Watt's phenomenal.
He is.
And I think Watt has moves and speed that will carry him to that echelon of one of the greatest Steelers.
Right.
I do. I think the guy's like he's business.
He's been playing like 6-7 seasons, and you're already all-time leader in sacks in Steeler history.
Yeah.
Like, that's no small feat.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and you're looking at him and you're saying, man, he's got a chance to not only maybe beat 22.5 sacks, the record he tied with Michael Strahan.
Right.
But also, at this pace, maybe you're the all-time sack leader.
Yeah, because it's not like he's like ready to retire.
No, nowhere near.
I think he's got some years left here.
If you can get like 6 more years out of him,
yeah,
like there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean he's good. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. I
mean Watt is. We're really on Steelers football.
Yeah.
But Watt is really good. You know what I mean? Like,
and
if you watch his moves, his strength, his speed, it's hard to combat.
But the thing that's great is he's enhanced by Alex Highsmith.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because you can no longer, like, well, we'll just double team it. Or
no, you can't do it.
No, you can't. Because you have to contest that. Because then you're letting Alex Highsmith run free. And he's proven.
Again and again and again.
Right.
That he can cause disruption.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he's not as good, but he's definitely Batman to Superman.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not Robin the Batman. He is Batman the Super. Like, J.J. Watt is Superman. Like, what he does is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But Alex Highsmith is almost just as good.
I like how Watt gives him credit. He gives him credit a lot.
Why? Because he knows.
Yeah.
Like, before Alex Highsmith came around, before he broke out, like, he knew what he was facing.
Yeah.
He was facing constant double and triple teams.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was breaking double teams. And he knows, like, JJ never had that. His brother never had that, like, really had that guy on the other side to take pressure off.
Right.
He's lucky he has that. So, I mean, but, like, all the greats do. Like, you have to have that other guy.
Yeah, I agree. The, what's his name got a sack?
Oh, the kid from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy about that.
Yeah. Which is nice. Yeah, which is nice because it's like, if Highsmith goes down, you feel like, well, we got a guy we can put in there.
Yeah. The only thing that RWBY doesn't have is size.
Yeah.
He has the speed.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid's got fucking speed.
Right.
I mean, you want to talk about your fast linebackers.
Yeah.
That he's fast.
Right.
Which is even more impressive because you can drop him back in coverage, and I think he can cover.
Right.
Because he has the speed to cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's got some moves, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you from the beginning, I was like, man, I like this RWBY guy.
Well, I mean, TJ's taking him under his wing. He's this fellow Wisconsin boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that his brother plays on the team, too.
Yeah. Steelers love brother combinations.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Weird, right?
It is.
It's just
it is
strange.
Odd. Yeah. All right, so let's get a little nerdy.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm gonna think, fuck the Steelers. Do you remember a little film in 1984 called Electric Dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oddly, very, very oddly, one of our grandfather's favorite movies.
Yeah.
Loved that movie. He had the soundtrack on vinyl. Which I was like a weird decision.
Okay.
It was a good soundtrack, don't get me wrong, but I was like, really, Pap? But anyway, the only reason I bring it up is apparently there was an announcement this week that they're going to be remaking that movie.
Really?
Yeah. Paul Davidson has acquired the rights to remake Electric Dreams, a 1984 film written and produced by Rusty Lemonade. Yeah, that was
wow.
But
is that like a hidden thing where it's really like
some sort of like urban dictionary? Like, yeah,
you know what I mean?
He gave me a Rusty Lemonade.
False producer.
I hope so. I hope that is like
or director or whatever.
Well, no, I don't think it's like an Alan Smithy.
Okay.
I think it's like, I think it was like the 80s, and this was probably a guy who thought he was being like uber hip.
Okay.
Probably, that's his, Plum de Nord or whatever it is,
Yeah.
AKA Rusty Lemonade.
Wow.
Yeah. Or maybe that was his hippie name. I don't know. But either way. But anyway, it's an odd movie, like, because it was about like this guy who has this computer. The computer comes sentient and falls in love with the girl upstairs.
Right.
And like I can see where like in modern times, like taking that concept and remaking it makes sense in the age of the rise of AI.
Right.
But still, it was just like that odd to me. Like for you, like hearing that name again. Like I haven't thought of that movie in 30 plus years.
Yeah, yeah.
Like was it like an odd thing to just hear me say the name of that movie? As you take a sip of your beer, causing silence.
No, I mean I think about that movie more than you think.
Really?
Yeah, I like the movie. Plus, I think the Moody Blues that was the main soundtrack to that.
Let me look that up. Let me see.
In Your Wildest Dreams, wasn't that the Moody Blues?
Yeah, that was the Moody Blues. Yeah,
pretty sure that was like the main thing in that movie. Check it out.
I am. I'm looking it up right now.
But I did like the movie. And of course, our Pat liked it even more than we did. He loved that movie.
All right, so it had Let It Run by Jeff Lynne.
Okay.
Electric Dreams by P.P. Arnold. Chase Runner by Heaven 17.
Maybe I was wrong.
You were, yeah. Love Is Love by Culture Club.
Okay.
The Dream by Culture Club.
Okay.
Together in Electric Dreams by Giorgio Moroder and Philip Oakley.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Video, also by Jeff Lynne. Madeline's Theme by Giorgio Moroder. And The Duel by Giorgio Moroder.
I don't know why that song reminds me of that movie, but
I don't know.
every time I hear it, I think of that movie.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Oh yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
Moody Blues are an odd band though.
Yeah.
Like Knights in White Satin.
Yeah. It's an odd band.
Yeah.
They do have a following.
They do, yeah. Kind of like Yes.
Yeah.
Like Yes is one of those bands that like nobody thinks about, but yet like they have a following,
Right.
and it's like people who like absolutely appreciate perfect acoustics.
Right.
Like, there was a time where it was like, on the radio they'd do like, it was called like for headphones only.
Yeah.
And like, there was a lot of Yes shit in there.
Yeah.
A lot of Pink Floyd, a lot of Yes, a lot of Moody Blues, But it was like I remember the one year Yes did a tour. I think it was for the 90521 tour.
Okay.
And like the thing that they were promoting was they were like people were coming in early to give it whatever arena they were playing in perfect stereophonic sound.
Okay.
So like no matter where you sat, you were getting the full effect of like the surround sound.
Right.
Like that's how like in depth they were.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was like I was like, wow, that's a commitment to the craft.
Right.
Like who gives a fuck what the guy in the 300 section hears? Like, but no, Yes was like, no, this will be absolutely fucking perfect for every person in the building.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
That much thought.
Yeah. I mean, let's face facts. Like most arenas are probably horrible for concerts.
Right.
Like, there's no thought put into like acoustics.
No.
Just come in and play.
Right.
I think most bands don't care about that either. Like, I think outdoor venues are probably better for it.
Right.
But like, the way arenas are built, they're not built to be acoustically pleasing.
No, they're not.
I guess I know. Like, I think the field the Seahawks play on, it's an outdoor facility, but the way it's designed is like for acoustics.
Right.
But it's like for making a crowd louder. Like, however it's designed, it's meant to trap noise.
Right. Nights in white satin. Remember that Tull concert we went to?
Oh, you were so upset.
I was.
The thing is, you were not upset at how they performed. Because to me, like, that was a great concert. I enjoyed the concert. But, like, you had won a contest, a radio contest, and we were supposed to eat with the band, and we got, like, a giant eagle sandwich ring.
In fucking blue buckets.
Yeah.
I was so upset.
Oh.
In this poor man roped off area, I could not believe.
Yeah. It was the worst.
Because the way it was advertised, seriously, it was like Jethro Tull was the king, and it was like, you sat around the round table. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it was advertised.
Yeah.
No, I swear.
Yeah.
That's the way this thing was advertised.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're going to do it. We're going to meet the band.
Yeah.
We had to stand in line.
Yeah.
And
we got in this roped off area. We had like a fold-out Costco table.
Oh, it was horrible.
With like a really shitty, like you can tell it's been used a few times, like a plastic, table dressing.
Oh, yeah. It was horrible.
And like a guy came, like, just dropped off the sandwich ring.
Yeah, it was like the worst.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
I was so upset at DV at that point.
And here's some popping water.
Yeah. That was bad.
Oh, you were fuming.
Oh, I was fuming. And the seats were not that bad, but they weren't great.
No. But I wasn't expecting.
Well, when you win a contest like that, you expect... I wasn't expecting front row.
Right.
I was expecting 10th.
Yeah, no, I was expecting, like, your seat's all the way back here.
Not when you win a radio show like that.
I never.
I was so pissed about that show.
Oh.
I was infuriated.
See, what's funny is, I was bummed out about, like, because you, like, passed on to me, too. Like, you got to go to this. We're going to meet Jethro Tull. I'm like, fuck, okay, that's cool.
Right.
I'm cool with that. I want to meet the guy who plays the flute and
yeah.
all this, cool. And But I had seen Jethro Tull once before. I had tickets. It was at the old A.J. Palumbo Center.
Yeah.
Which was it was like a basketball arena on the campus of Duquesne University, which is a smaller college, but that's like where the smart people go.
Yeah.
And we had these, and it was like they came out, and they were the only act.
Yeah.
Like when I saw them in the A.J. Palumbo Center, they were the only act.
Okay.
And it was like the first half of the show is going to be our new stuff. And the second half of the show will be classics.
Right.
Okay, whatever. When we get through the first half of the show, and then they go to an intermission, and they played to close out the first half of the show. They played I knew nothing, and they played "Thick as a Brick."
All right.
I'm like, okay, cool. And we get to the second half, and I'm sure I'll know a lot of those songs. We get to the second half of the show. They were playing deep cuts.
Yeah.
This was like going to like a Grateful Dead show.
Yeah, yeah.
And because they were playing shit I never heard of. And I'm like, what in the fuck? They played 2 songs I fucking knew. And I spent good money on those tickets. And me and Jason Knoll, we walked out of there and we were like, can you name a fucking song they played? No, I can't, And it was like horrible. We were so pissed. So seeing them the second time, I had zero expectations based on the first time I saw them.
Right.
But they played all their greatest hits.
Yeah.
They played a couple of new songs and everything else, like stuff I knew. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is what the first show should have fucking been.
Yeah.
No, I got we're playing the deep shit.
Yeah.
We're playing all B-sides.
Right.
What the fuck? So, I at least walked out of the concert okay, well, that wasn't a bad show. They played stuff I knew this time. You were just the second we left that little roped off area, with pop in our pockets.
Yeah.
Pop and water in our pockets because you were like, yeah, put that in your fucking pocket. I earned it.
Yeah.
And we're sitting out there, and you're just the entire time, you're just like, fuck this. Fuck, I can't believe it's a waste of fucking time. Oh.
I think like I said, I think I was more pissed about how it was advertised.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what really got me mad was don't advertise something and
not deliver.
And not deliver.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to deliver 100%.
Yeah.
But this wasn't even 10%.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
If we'd at least gotten to meet the band still. And they were like, yeah, the bands are coming. And you were like, what? If I had at least gotten to meet the band, then I would have accepted the sandwich ring.
I would have taken a DJ at that.
Yeah.
No, real.
Yeah.
I would have taken a DJ at that point and been like, all right, well, at least we got to meet the DJs. No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't shit. It was a bunch of lackeys.
Yeah.
And they throw this poor man's sandwich ring out.
Yeah, I'm getting some interns from DVE.
Yeah, and a blue bucket full of pop.
Yeah.
And a bag of chips and say, here you go. Fuck, I could have got that at work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then the seats, I didn't think were that great. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've won contests before, and I've had better outcomes. Put it that way. Okay. With the X.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just was not. I was not hip to it.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know. But the VIP seats we got from John Lamago at Starlight.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Nothing will ever beat those seats. Nothing. Sitting in that I don't want to call it a VIP section because it's not, but it was the equivalent at the amphitheater of having a private box.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had our own table.
Yeah. We had leg room. There was, it was just you and I in our own little sectioned off area with a table. We had a waitress bringing us drinks.
Yeah.
It
was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was plus, the sight line was so good.
Oh, it was beautiful.
We were
You're
at
talking
stage.
for Rush, right?
Yeah, for Rush. Yeah, we were at stage level.
Oh,
it felt like I was sitting next to the stage, even though there was probably
20 rows at
Yeah.
least. But it was perfect.
Yeah.
You were above.
Yeah, you were above.
Crowd.
Yeah, it was like I honestly I felt like I was right there sitting.
That Rush show was probably one of the best shows I've ever been to.
It is, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Like that one's tough to top. It's got to be in my top, maybe 3.
Yeah, that Rush show was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like Jimmy Page, Van Halen.
You didn't go to Rush. I mean,
Sammy and Dave.
yeah.
No, I didn't.
Because I offered you those two, too.
Yeah, I couldn't go. I couldn't get out of work. You were bummed.
Oh, I was so pissed.
You were bummed because you were like, because that was when you learned, because I told you, because you're like, I can't wait, because you were still a Dave guy.
Yeah.
Like, you were like Dave all the way. See,
Well, I think the reason I was pissed because I wanted to go with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of...
No. It was, yeah, you were pissed because you couldn't go with me. But
I don't even remember who I took to that show.
But I remember telling you, you're going to come out of that show, and you're going to say to yourself, Sammy Hagar was a party.
Yeah.
Or not Sammy Hagar. David Lee Roth was the party. Sammy Hagar invited me to a party.
Right.
And when you walked out, you called me, and you were like, you were fucking right.
Oh, man.
Like, Dave was all about Dave. And Sammy was all about putting on a show for you.
Sammy was amazing.
Like, Dave was entertaining himself.
Yeah.
But Sammy comes out and he's like, you and me and all these other people here, we're going to have ourselves a good old time.
Oh, man. Sammy was amazing. That was a good show.
And that was, I think, that was I think at that time, like, he had just released, like, Moss Tequila.
Yeah.
You know, which is, like, one of the greatest party anthems of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but, yeah, like, I mean, you walked out of that show and you were a changed man after that.
Oh, yeah, it was a great show. That Rush show was amazing.
Yeah. Because that was just them. And it was like a 15-minute intermission.
Yep.
And they came back. And like, every song they played, I knew.
Yeah.
But like, Rush is one of those few bands, like, I know a lot of their deep cuts.
Yeah.
But like, still, like, they played for 3 hours with a 15-minute intermission. And for me to sit there and say, like, I knew every song they played in those 3 hours.
Right.
You know, it was like, that's hard to do.
Yeah. It was a great show.
Yeah.
Those seats were amazing.
Ugh.
It was just amazing.
There are shows I've gone to at Star Lake where I said, I wish I had those seats.
Yeah.
Like when we saw Muse. Like, not just because it was like 30 Seconds to Mars was the opening act, but for Muse it's themselves. I would have loved to have been that close. And that, like, at that level.
Yeah.
Because I think watching Muse...
You know, it's funny about those seats. Like you said, it's not like we're that close, but...
Yeah. But because
it felt like you were.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. I think because you were up a level.
Yeah.
And you're above the crowd line.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was center. I mean, those were center seats.
Yeah.
I mean, we were right next to the sound stage.
Yeah. Like, the
we were
sound guy
above
was
the sound
Yeah,
stage.
the sound guy was right below us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But, like, it's like it'd be like one of those things where, like, just like watching Muse at that level.
Right.
Like, you know, being that close. And I mean, and you're still talking, like, they were like, you're probably looking at like 20 yards away.
Yeah.
20 to 30 yards, depending on, like, but it like I said, it felt like we were right next to him. And like to see like a band like Muse up close, like that, especially that show that I saw, like, that was an amazing show.
Yeah.
I'm trying, like, I haven't seen many shows like at Star Lake since then, but
I haven't either. I haven't been to Star Lake in years.
yeah. I haven't been to Star Lake since COVID.
Okay.
Like, the last show I went to was 30 Seconds to Mars at Star Lake. And that was the one we went where it was like a downpour. It was like 1,000 degrees outside and it rained. And so the humidity was like 1,000%.
Oh, God.
And, you know, I mean, Jared Leto comes out in fucking flood gear. You know, like,
right.
You know, I'm expecting, like, I can't wait to see what Jared Leto's wearing. I'm very interested, like, because he's like this like fashionista. And he comes out wearing like these fucking like fishing overalls with, like, you know, like rubber boots and shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, this is what you're wearing on stage, you motherfucker? Anyway. All right. Anything like that to the proceedings there, sir?
I don't think so. I want to thank Otter.
Oh. I do have something before we go.
Just a personal thank you.
Go ahead. What's your personal thank you?
No, that's it. It's just a thank you.
Okay.
He knows.
Well, we did get an email from Superfan Thad. Let's see here. Brock Purdy, what a story. He was picked last in the 2024 draft, and he leads all QBs in 2024. Well, he wasn't picked in the 2024 draft. He was drafted in 2022. And yes, he was Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah. Maybe we should have picked him up. I don't think so, Thad. I think, and this isn't taking anything away from Brock Purdy. I think he's very talented. I think he was probably undervalued going into the draft. No doubt about that. But at the same time, I do believe the Kyle Shanahan system can make almost anybody look good.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what it did for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
And look who's struggling in Oakland.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, the only guy that they couldn't, was that guy that they drafted. Like, they traded up the draft, and, I don't know if it was, I don't know what that was, but, beyond that, everybody else, who's been in that system. Going back to, when he was in Atlanta as an offensive coordinator.
Right.
Matt Ryan looked amazing in that system.
Right.
I think that system helps the quarterback out.
Right.
But also, last two games, Brock Purdy's looked like shit.
Yeah.
So, you could talk him up all you want. Again, I know your hatred for Kenny Pickett because you think he, I don't know, but I still have faith that Kenny can pick this up at some point.
Yeah.
Just with the correct offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Byron Leftwich. It's time for everybody's favorite segment, Thad's Halloween Review. I want to thank Kennywood last week, and it was great since I'm a member of ACE, the American Coaster Enthusiasts. We also had some perks on Saturday. We had a daytime tour of the Voodoo Bayou. We had a lights-on tour of Malice, the Alice in Wonderland themed haunt. And we also had first in line with the lights off. We also had first in line for the cemetery. I was there most of the day and got to experience the daytime not so scary for kids and nighttime where the spooks came out at night. Kenny was always top notch. Fuck the haters that complain about Kennywood. My only criticism is that there was no one scaring in the tunnel when we left. I found them trying to scare people coming in. I would have loved to have had a chainsaw. I ate some nice meaty hot sausage. It fit nicely in my mouth. Oh, I am sure. I had some potato patch fries with beef gravy and some nice free refills with my souvenir cup. Well, good for you. I guess if you go to Kennywood 6 times a year, that souvenir cup pays off. But when you go one time,
right,
it's fucking overpriced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want a souvenir cup. I don't give a fuck about the refills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there you go. He did go to a haunted house this year. He went to Kennywood, and he apparently had a very good time.
Good.
He enjoyed it. So there you go. That's a report from Thad.
Nice.
So remember, there are a number of different ways you can reach out and touch us. Like I said, it's an email like Thad does. That email address is pittsburghnerd@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd. We're very, very easy to find. And lastly, we are on a number of podcasting networks. You can find us on the Tangent Bound Network, the Weeby Geeks Network, and the Pod Breed Network. Just give them a Google search, and they're very, very easy to find as well. And you find all the other great content they have to offer. Yeah. And lastly, as always, I want to thank you, dear listener, for taking the time to check us out each and every week. We can't thank you enough.
We do.
And on that note, the dreamer has awakened.
Peace.